I can hear you, yeah. No, but, like, I'm saying in general, I'm having a hard time hearing, um,
Oh,
like, my ear is clogged, so I can't hear things, so I don't know if other people can hear you better than I can hear you. Does that make any sense?
yeah.
Okay, so what is going on with court on Monday?
Well, I heard that there was some controversy if it was going to be in person or not. It is in person. And Friday at like 11:30, the prosecution filed a motion opposing the Rule 35, stating that by local fourth judicial rules, I believe it's 8-1, there's supposed to be a memo or a brief with the motion, and there wasn't. So that's the reason they want it to be thrown out. Um, I've heard that we got about, anywhere between 25 and 30 um, affidavits, but when I talked to my attorney, came in and seen me in jail today, said Christy Zetto didn't. He knows he would have noticed her name, and she didn't get one in. She told me why she was going to, but she didn't, I guess. And then Ryan Davison, he said he wasn't sure if he had or not, but he didn't think so. So I don't know if they did or not get it in, but
That's really kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it is, but whichever, I guess. I mean, it does kind of suck when someone says they'll do something and they don't. I don't know. I don't know why Heather Scott didn't know I was in jail. I mean, I don't know. I can't, say one way or the other. I would think that she would still write an affidavit whether she was in jail or not. Now she would know, but now she knows. But so why wouldn't she do it then? But I don't know.
So she said she was going to look into it. So I sent her over quite a few things to look at, as far as videos and the video of your trial. But it's not an excuse. I mean, we had what, 17 arrests in 2020? I think between 2020 and early 2021. Um, and it's all of it's just kind of getting washed away and ignored. And it really kind of all comes back down to the judicial system is so jacked. Um,
Yeah.
how are we going to hold it accountable? And how many more people are going to have to get arrested and charged for stupid things before we have a resolution? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's endless pretty much because people don't seem to care. And then, like, when someone is in jail, people, kind of just move on and, oh, well, that sucks. You're in jail. But, oh, well, we'll move on with life. I mean, I get it. Whichever, life goes on. But, I mean, if we're going to stand for justice, I mean, the only people who've been steady, Susan's been pretty steady. Dawn, and, Dawn and Owen.
so
Lady
Susan, Dawn, Maggie, Eva, Dana.
Yeah.
I'm missing people. I know I am. Garth has been super consistent. I know I haven't been as consistent as I wanted to be, but
well, you also live quite a ways away.
Well,
but it's I mean it's to be quite honest with you, it's a little bit disheartening to a point that I gotta just basically say oh well, because when it comes down to it, I did this for liberty, not for any one individual,
right.
and I think we just need to basically need to keep stuff like this in mind when we do stand up, that we need to be able to be willing to stand up and stand all alone, because it's quite possible if we will. I mean, I think that I've gotten, to be, quite honest, I think that I've gotten a lot more support than others would have and have gotten, not as much as some others, but I think that if used to average everything out, I've gotten above average, quite a bit above average support than most people have gotten. Um, and I mean, it's still pretty disheartening sometimes. And but I gotta say that sometimes it's also I don't know, renews your faith in the Heavenly Father, for me at least. And kind of part of the beginning here is I've been reading the Old Testament, and it kind of shows that in the Old Testament that people are always that way. That it's not, this isn't nothing new. It does. Sometimes thoughts do cross your mind. What if I just moved off to Montana and just found a good town to live in and just stayed there, and let the rest of the world fall apart, and at least me and my family could be, at least have some semblance of liberty and freedom to catch up with my grandkids. But is is it going to catch up with them anyways? Is it because there's so few people standing that it's are we really going to win the battle? And when it comes down to it, I don't think so. I mean, we're going to win the war when Heavenly Father comes back, but I think that's what it's going to take when it comes down to it. If people don't start standing, and I want to mention too that I know that Hammond doesn't like putting everything out there that he's done, but he's helped out quite a bit too. I don't put everything out there, but he's made a financial commitment to my wife, which he's upheld, and I really appreciate it. I do believe he's going to be showing up for court for me. And there's and there's some things me and him don't agree on, and there's religions that we don't agree on. But we need more men like him that are willing to stand, and that I mean, I'm a broke guy. I don't got money to really give to people. I mean, and I'm not saying that Am is just uber rich, because he's got bills. He's got probably bigger bills than I do.
Right.
I mean, his paychecks are bigger than mine, but so are his bills. And it's more about the people than it is anything. And the people just aren't willing to stand, and it's crazy, like I think I said last call, the people that are willing to even plead guilty to things they didn't do just to try to get out of the system. And then the people that are out there standing for what's right aren't willing to stand so tall that they might get caught by the system. Although they may brag about it on, say that they will, up until the point when it comes down to it, and then you have other people that, are, hey, I appreciate their honesty. They say up front, I'm not willing to be arrested for liberty. I'm not a liberty or die guy. I'm a liberty when it's convenient guy. And I mean, at least they're honest about it. But, I mean, I don't know. What are we going to do? Is it, you kind of weigh, is it worth it? When it comes down to it, is it worth it? I don't know. I think that it is. But I don't know how much it is. If you know what I mean.
I think it's really hard because people don't view it as, is it worth it? But the reality is I mean, was it worth it to stand up for the masks, or did it do anything? I think it did something, because where would we be at today if we hadn't protested the masks in 2020 like we did? They've got all that
Yeah.
information coming out on Twitter right now, basically proving everything in 2020 that was a conspiracy theory was actually science. So we're kind of in this weird
But how much tyranny did we get? I mean, we may have stopped some of it. We got more than we stopped because people refused to stand.
I think we could have had a bigger impact if more people chose to stand. Um, but most people are not. They're not uncomfortable enough. They're too, like you said, they're not ready to stand. And so I don't know. I feel like those of us that are willing to stand up and stand out and be loud have to continue to do so because eventually those people are going to see us and they can't unsee what they're seeing. Um, and then they're going to get impacted personally, and then they're going to come join in on the fight. I just have to believe that is um, I have to believe that in some way we are going to be making a bigger impact that way than we are currently. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't know. Like for me, like for me to continue motivation to continue to stand for things. I mean, it's I got to take it into the next world because I mean, I've been doing this for what 8 years
Hmm.
plus,
At least, yeah.
and and well, about 8 years, I think. But anyways, I've been doing this for a long time, and I mean, my main passion is fighting for children, and stopping the state from ripping apart families. And I mean, the mask things. Hey, that's when it comes down to, I can't wear a mask, but for most people, the mask thing is just a minor inconvenience. They just suck. They just get you sicker. They just put you know. Uh, you know, plastic in your lungs and stuff. I mean, there's some side effects, but the side effects are pretty mild comparatively to what they do to our children. I mean, if you look back into the Old Testament, um, where they like literally sacrificed our children to Murdoch. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. That's kind of what we're doing now, and that's what we're allowing. We may not be the ones actually sacrificing them, and that may be a little extreme for some people. But when it comes to CPS stuff, that's really what's going on. Yeah, you're not setting them in the burning hands of an idol, but you're sometimes it's so much worse. Some of the stuff I went through with CPS and such. I mean, believe me, I've wished that they would have just killed me instead. A lot of different times, because of the extreme torture you go through, and for me, doing what I do, sometimes you kind of relive that stuff, and you have to deal with that shit again. And so, for me, it's really hard. And anybody who's endured trauma of that sort, I think would concur that going out helping somebody else with it to a point helps people. But especially when you see people going through this stuff and nobody caring, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And then you see that people aren't even willing to, take a risk to, say write an affidavit. Not that I'm complaining that, because I got quite a few affidavits. I'm a blessed man in that. But I just, I wonder, I mean, like, I do think that I've gotten more support than average, and I'm appreciative of it. I don't want to sound unappreciative of that. Um, I'm just, I don't know. I'm just also thinking about, what about the below average? What about these judges? That basically operate with, well, not basically, they do operate with immunity. And like one of the guys here is talking about, that as far as he's seen, the Rule 35 is like he's hardly ever seen them go through. But also you got to understand he's kind of a pessimistic guy in general, um, and doesn't like the system at all. And he just had a huge setback in his case here. Um, and was probably going back to prison, so he's in a pessimistic mood. But because judges don't like to question themselves, and I don't know. I think that as a judge, that's what you should always be doing, is questioning yourself. I mean, as a Christian, I think that my first duty is to question myself. Um, but we've gotten to the point where society doesn't question them, and they don't question themselves. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, how how can we combat this? I mean, and where does that money come from? Where does that effort come from? Because we've got to understand that everybody likes to tout 1776 without understanding everything that went into it. It wasn't just a bunch of farmers turned their pitchforks into swords and went out to war. There's also a lot of financial backing and a lot of people. Not just the financial backing, but the people too. And I think some people have stepped up to the plate. Ammon Bundy. I mean, he's people can talk shit about him all they want. The truth of the matter is he's put a lot of his financials at risk. I mean, he lost it. Pretty much lost. I mean, he sold it from. I don't know his specifics, but from my understanding, he pretty much sold it to keep the people working for him, and didn't really make any money off. He lost that because he stood for liberty. And what do people do? They talk shit about him, and say things that they're untrue about him. And I mean, is he perfect? Absolutely not. But he's put his money where his mouth is, and he's put his freedom where his mouth is, and he's done both. And I don't know. I don't know. Something that makes me wonder. You know, how much of it is worth it. When it comes down to it, I never thought I'd be in jail again. I got away from jails. And some people think, oh, well, Robert can take it. To a point, I guess. But to another point, no, this sucks. Being away from my family.
So,
So what do you do?
so looking at, I really have a dim view on the system. I think the system's broken. I think the system's corrupt beyond any form of repair. And I strongly believe that the founding fathers laid out in our founding documents what needs to happen going forward to fix the corruption. But a lot of people aren't ready to hear that yet. So um, there are many people that believe we have the option to continue to vote it out and that we need to continue going to the Capitol and following, all of these ridiculous processes that are so corrupt beyond measure um, to hold these things accountable. So one of the things that's been suggested to me is that we organize and talk with the Rules and Judiciary Committee about how to review the judges. Um, and obviously, this doesn't help you right now because you're stuck in jail. Um, but what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think if we were to try and go through the committees in
Well, I don't know. Like for me, like the whole politics stuff is very, very frustrating because I've spent a lot of time in different things, just have nothing happen.
right?
But I mean, if we are to try to get this shit back righted, we need more people with those buckets bailing the water out because we got huge holes in there, and we need people bailing it out while they're repairing it. And kind of in that symbolism, I see. I'm not a woodworker or a welder in that case. I'm the guy with the bucket. Trying to get the water out while the skilled people go in there. And, because I'm just a straightforward person. I can't do this politics stuff where, you compromise out, things just to get another bill in. You compromise one bill to get another in. So I don't know, that's really hard for me to do that. I don't, I think that in a lot of ways, a lot of it's a lost cause, but we need to fight lost causes. And, I think that I don't really know. Heavenly Father's going to straighten it out sooner or later, and I hope that I'm doing what I can, and what He expects of me, and doing what I can when I can type thing. And but you know, sometimes I sympathize with those people who believe it at end times also, and believe that they just need to sit back and relax and enjoy this life while it lasts, kind of thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a constant ebb and flow. It's hard to stay in this and to be somebody who does this full time. You know, it's it's a lot of times it's a thankless job. You get those people that that are, really thankful, and then you get those people who, you know, think you're dumb, and I'm one of those people that think I'm dumb sometimes, when I'm sitting in here and wishing I could have my baby boy and know that he's missing me and stuff. It's it's hard.
So
But,
right
I don't
before
know.
the recording came on, I was talking with Robert about asking if he had called any of the outside agencies. I guess agencies probably isn't the right word. Outside groups that fight for civil liberties. And he said that the ACLU is actually a blocked number inside the jail, so he can't even call them. Um, I've been given some other tips on some other places that we can try, but um, I just found it really interesting that they block that number and won't let you call that from inside the jail. So
Yeah, and I don't know who blocked it. ACLU might have had it blocked. I don't know how it's blocked. It's just blocked.
it's crazy how they can censor everything is so censored. So
Well, and does the ACLU really help either? I don't know.
I was watching a little clip this morning on, you know who Dan Bongino is?
Huh?
Do you know who Bongino is? He was one of the podcaster guys. I don't really follow him that close, but he got censored on YouTube at the beginning and on Twitter. Um, and maybe he wasn't censored on Twitter. I don't know. Anyways, so there's this Twitter gate happening right now where Elon's like dumping all this information from internal emails at Twitter on how they were working with the FBI to censor people on Twitter. Um, which I find kind of interesting. I wish they would do the same thing for Facebook, because then maybe some of us that got wiped off Facebook can have our platforms back. I don't know. Maybe I don't even know that I would want everybody to jump back on Facebook, but I think it's interesting how it's really coming out how censored everything was in 2020. And I mean, literally all the crazy theories that we had about the government censoring us in 2020 are coming out as such blatant fact at this point. Um, if you still don't believe,
That,
go ahead.
that's how it always works, though. I mean, that's how government always works. Like, okay, vaccines, they were, safe and effective. And anybody who thought that they cause autism is an idiot and a conspiracy theorist. Anybody who thought that they cause problems with people were conspiracy theorists, idiots, just crazy people. And then, as that, they call all those people crazy, they call all those people crazy. And then finally they say, oh, you know what? Those people were right the whole time. And everybody's like, oh, well, they're still kind of crazy. And we just move on like it's nothing. I mean, and some people that, sometimes I forget when I'm recording or whatnot, but, that are listening to this still think that, anybody who thinks that vaccines, cause injuries are crazy when it's documented fact. But see, they've been conditioned so much to think that it's crazy that they just can't accept it. Okay, maybe they do. And, actually Facebook is kind of a good, what do you call that? Like example of how our government is. Okay,
Right.
everybody knows Facebook today. Everybody talks shit about Facebook. How they censor us and how they don't stand for our rights at all. But everybody's still on it. And so, it's there's a,
Well,
I
and I
think
kind of
there's
feel bad because we're streaming on Facebook right now under, you know, how I have to do it. Um, but I do it because that's where people can see it. And so,
well, that's what I'm getting at is that there's with the government, it's kind of like you're asking about the going to the judiciary committees and and I think that the going against the judges at times can be very effective. Um, campaigning against them because they don't have to campaign for them. They just if we just campaign against them is what
okay, but
would have to happen.
how are we going to
But
campaign against the judges when there's literally nobody running against them ever? So
well, that's
I
not
don't
how
see
judges
that
work.
as an
That
option. But I mean,
that's
if you
not how
look
it
at
works with judges. You don't vote for one judge over another judge. You vote a judge to stay or to leave.
okay,
So all you have to do is campaign to vote to get them out. Okay, but like with Facebook, okay, do you with this judicial system, okay, at what point do you you know where's the point? Like with Facebook, okay, you have to be on Facebook because that's where people are at, right? That's where you get the most notice. That's where you can use Facebook as a tool to try to expose, the government and different things, right? Okay, but using Facebook as an example, as if it is the government, it's kind of the same thing with the communities. It's using the government to try to fix the government, which historically has been proven to not work. And not just in the United States. I mean, if you study history, it doesn't. So, at what point do you say exit and start
That's such
my
a
face
polite
or
that's such a
whatever?
polite way to put it. So, as far
Hold on,
as
just 1 second. Hold on, just 1 second. I got to go grab some blood and real quick.
okay, Dana, can you hear us? Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. You have to grab your water.
No, I said blow my nose because you're making me cry when I was talking about my little boy.
Oh. But just think,
But
you get to see him face to face in what, less than 48 hours?
yeah, maybe if they allow him in the courtroom. And then what's that? I get to see him. But anyways, I don't get to hug him. He's autistic, right? So he doesn't completely understand this stuff. It's been pretty hard on him. But anyways, back to the Facebook thing.
Back to the Facebook thing. Yeah, that's not okay.
I'm in jail. I don't want to cry, damn it.
All right. So, as of Monday, we need people at the courthouse at 2:30. If you didn't write a affidavit, you could still show up, and numbers mean a lot.
Yeah. Or in public officials,
And
it would be great if, like say that the first row could be my family and maybe some, public officials, say that offer the public officials, that that are allies of liberty, maybe that would help to move something. I don't know.
so I don't know. Like
Going back, I don't know him, so like I never reached out to him for an affidavit
for who?
because like, huh?
For who?
Ron Beck. I
Ron
believe
Beck.
that's his name, right?
Okay.
He's the other county commissioner that we helped get into office.
So
Yeah.
Ron Beck, Ryan Davidson. Who else do we have? I mean, Christy's kind of close. I hope she can make it.
Yeah, Christy Zeno. I mean, even Greg Pruitt. They're going to work together. He's Second Amendment stuff. But that would be great.
Well,
Wayne
Second Amendment
Hoffman
was affected in this case. I mean,
Yeah,
they used it against you.
Yeah. Well, then there's Wayne Hoffman, the Idaho Freedom Foundation. I believe is the name of it.
I hope somebody can share this with all these people because, like, they're so big on standing up on a bigger front, but then there's people like Robert who are absolutely stuck. I mean, he can't do anything but sit in jail at this point because the entire system is working against him. And I honestly feel like a lot of people have just kind of turned their backs on what's happening because what can you do once you've been found guilty, right? We just kind of sit back and ignore it, which is what everybody's doing. Um, but I feel like that's the wrong thing to do because it's silence is consent, right? I mean, if we're not gonna stand up and say what's happening to Robert is wrong, then we're consenting to it. And
Well, and how much risk are you? I mean, if we want to talk about risk, how much
it's
risk
not
are
even
they
about
actually
risk
taking
though, Robert. I
to
mean,
just show up?
it's really, I mean, if they're scared to show up in the courtroom, I mean, that should say something right there that we no longer live in a free country. And if we're going to admit that we no longer live in a free country, why are we still fighting to get our rights back at the state level at the Capitol?
Well, and what about, people who maybe aren't public officials? What about people who are maybe ex-military? I don't know if current military can actually do it, but people who are in the military show up in their uniforms or as much as they can. I don't know the rules with that. To show that they went to war. Because we've been in war for so many years now.
Right.
To stand for the First Amendment, and I'm whether they like it or not, the First Amendment isn't set up for speech that you like. It's set up for speech that's offensive. It's set up for speech that you don't like.
Well, that's the whole point. Is it has to be able to be offensive to somebody.
Yeah, well, and and I'm not attempting to be offensive necessarily, but that's what the First Amendment is there for. It's not for nice speech, for harsh speeches, for stuff that general public may not like to hear.
It's to spark conversation and allow the conversation to happen.
Yeah, well, and I don't know, I don't know the regulations when it comes, because I know that I'm pretty sure that active military, that there's some code of conduct that they're not supposed to get involved in political things, which is funny because this shouldn't be a political thing, but it is.
Okay.
And think about this.
At what point do they need to get involved because it's political? I mean, you've got the
well, active duty, they can get in trouble.
You've got Donald Trump posting that the election was stolen and that all the Twitter files that just came out proved that the election was stolen in 2020. You've got Hunter Biden, who has the laptop from hell, that all that's coming out, that they're stopping information from coming out about it because they're interfering with.
Yeah, well, and I'm just like, okay, on the scale of risk, I mean, like, because I know people are scared, because heck, sometimes I'm in that camp that I think I'm a dumbass for doing this. But on the scale of risk, what does it really risk then? To show up, just to show up. I mean, way often I thought.
Your court is happening in a communist area. Okay, so I was talking with Babinski the other night about this, about how Ada County it's like a different country. Okay, so when you leave, what?
Kind of. I had two different attorneys. One of them that at the very least implied that he would take it pro bono if it wasn't in Ada County. If it was any other county, even Fulton County,
so
he would have taken it. But in Ada County, you can't get justice.
Right. Well, so I made that comparison. I've been making that comparison for 2 years. When I would leave Twin Falls and I would drive down to Boise for a protest or the special session or whatever it is that we were going down there for, it was always like, okay, am I going to get harassed? Am I going to get arrested? What am I going to do there that's not acceptable in Ada County but is completely acceptable where I live? And that unfortunately became a normal for me, is that I needed to prepare myself mentally for the abrasive people that I was going to encounter when I was out in public that I was not encountering on a regular basis at home.
Well, and those people are making themselves known. I just would like, I don't know. I mean, it's a selfish thing to ask for it from me specifically, but I mean, why don't those people let themselves known in this case? Even the people that think that, going to house protests, which by the way, I used to be one of those people, it is bad. I mean, you think that if I would have played Fuck the Police, which is like a 3-minute and 30-second song or something, I don't know exactly how long it is, I'm just spitballing here. But I played that 3 times, is loud enough for everybody in the neighborhood to hear it, shut it off and left. You think I deserve to go to jail for 6 months for that? Because I didn't do that.
I don't believe that you would have. Like, I don't believe that you should have gone to jail for what you did, and I don't believe you blasting a song that's allowed to be played on the radio is something that you should be able to go to jail for.
Well, I'm just saying that even if you don't like, if you're offended by what we did, you're offended by the Scarface thing, which was more of a joke than anything. It was no threat of force. It was a joke. It was, my little friend was the boat horn. But, if you're offended by that, if you're offended by the bucket beating, I mean, still,
So do you think people
what
are
about
going to
the
be
First
offended
Amendment?
if I have a bucket on Monday?
I mean, well, and the next night we beat on stuff, drums and stuff,
Well,
and
right. I mean, during your last court, I mean, I was banging on a bucket, and I didn't go to jail.
well, and what about I mean, I don't know. I'm just hoping that if I think it's a little bit selfish to ask it for it to be around me, but if not me, then who?
Well, but
Asking people to
it's
come
not
out.
just about you, Robert. Like,
Well, that's what I'm trying to
I'm
get at.
standing for
But
you because I believe what you're doing. Like, you should not be in jail for what you're doing. But
yeah,
look at everybody that protested in 2020, 2021, and 2022. How many people out there made more noise than you did?
oh, I made more noise at other protests than I did at
Exactly.
this one.
Exactly.
When Susan called me and
So
said that she was afraid they were going to charge us,
if we're going to allow the courts to say what you did was wrong in that instance, what's to stop them from taking down the rest of us at, who knows? We're gonna
yeah.
get arrested at the Capitol next time because we clap, because um, we boo, because we were talking too loudly in the hallway, because we stood up and said no, he didn't get his full 2 minutes. Like, what are we setting ourselves up for if we don't get loud now and say we the people are not allowing this to happen in our country, right?
Well, it would just be nice for the hey, I get it. Some people are scared of the Second Amendment, and I'm afraid that that's where we're headed too. But
Okay, but
I
we
mean,
can't
can
be
people
afraid
just?
of that. We have to claim that
But,
and be loud about it, because
but,
otherwise it's
but
going to
what
be
I'm saying
gone.
though is that this is something that I'm not asking people to come in there and take over the court. I'm absolutely not asking that. I'm actually saying not to do that. Don't try to take over the court. That's not what this is about. Just stand up, show up, and stand. I mean, it's a low risk thing. You're not going to be arrested for just showing up and just standing. I mean, make it a standing room only. And as far as the Republican Party or the Democrat Party for that matter,
I'm sorry, the dogs are barking.
BLM was doing. BLM took some plays out of my playbook actually when they did their stuff. They did it in the middle of the night. We did it in the plain day, and we weren't hiding. But anyways, it's. I think that I would appreciate it, and Liberty would appreciate it if people could just show up and you know show their support for the First Amendment, even if you don't like what I did. Do you really? I mean, can anybody? I mean, I have people in here, lots of people in here. Even one of them, he thinks that what I did was absolutely stupid and bullshit. I should never protest people's houses. And in the same breath, he'll say, you shouldn't be in jail for those 6 months for that.
Did you
You
remind
shouldn't be on
him
no
that
probation for a year for that. You should be maybe do some community service and move on.
Did you remind him
And
that, like, people had their houses burnt down that, like, founded this country, and they were willing to risk all of that and their lives? Like,
yeah, well, and I'm not asking. I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for people to give all. All I'm asking is for people to give some. I'm asking for people to hey, I understand it's a Monday. It sucks. Mondays suck, and you got work, and you got bills to pay and all that. But can you just I don't know. And I've tried this before, and most people don't respond, and most people have their excuses why they can't come. Well, it was Monday, so I had to do this or I had to do that, and I get it. But can we just like one time put freedom above everything? I mean, I know it's me in it that I'm asking for the support of, but I mean, can we maybe and another thing too is I think that it's going to take a huge movement of the Heavenly Father in this. So, I'd like to call people out to pray. Um, not only at the courthouse, but tonight, right now. You don't have to, shut everything off and totally concentrate. Just pray. I pray all the time, talk to God and ask Him, please. I mean, let me know. Let me be back with my babies. I mean, this is the longest time I spent away from my kids, like ever, like any of my kids. Except when they move out. You
Right.
know, as far as my kids being under my roof, do I deserve that?
No.
You know, am I just another martyr? I mean, I guess if I am, I am, but can you just do something low risk, show up? You know, I mean, the affidavit thing, I don't know if that's going to, I don't think you can, I mean, I think that opportunity is closed, but if you can, type one up there.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
So get it in? I don't think so, but at least show some effort. I mean, I don't know. It'd be nice, but sometimes when people to do that, it seems like they get less support. But I guess we'll see. It would be nice. You want me to call you back?
Yeah, if you want to call back, we can do that.
Okay. Give me just a second.
All right.
I'll be back.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
All right, Robert should be calling right back, guys. I'm sorry for the delay. Okay, do you guys have any questions for Robert? Like anything at all? I know there's only a couple people on here right now, but
Robert Jones, Ada County.
Good evening at Ada County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telmate.
all right, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
Sorry if I'm ranting a bit.
But we need you to rant. People need to hear what you're thinking and what's going through your head as you're stuck in there. Because, I mean, the next guy that gets stuck in there may not have the same support system that you do.
Yeah, well, and it's hard, but, you know, and I try not to get on it too much just because, to be honest with you, being depressed by it's not help, nothing is it. Bitching about it a lot of times just makes people not care even more. But
sometimes the conversations, when you're talking about what's wrong and you're complaining about it, are going to be the conversations that lead us to what's going to work to fix it. So I feel like there is a time and a place for ranting, raving, getting upset about it, but we have to be, like, at the same time as we're thinking about what we do going forward, because obviously this joke of a court system is not working. What are we doing to fix it? Nobody's doing anything to fix it. Like, I see that we're protesting, I see that we're trying all these different ways to file motions and to file this and to file that. And the reality is where are we coming out ahead in all this? I mean, how many people at the time for things that they should not have time in jail for in the last years?
yeah, well, and even before that, I mean, look at Look at Ammon's plight. I mean,
Right.
Ammon was in federal prison for over 2 years, and with more than half of that in solitary confinement because he refused to complete. I mean, he chose complete, liberty, death over liberty or whatever, liberty over death. Um, you know, kind of thing, liberty or die, I guess. Yeah, that's the thing because, I mean, he was tortured a lot. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I've got it pretty cushy comparatively. Um, does that make it okay? No. I mean, other people should try this, like, you're not supposed to announce fast, but tomorrow at 2:30, I'm going to stop eating and just drink water, and I will drink juice and stuff. I'm just not going to eat any food until court date, and I invite others to join in there with me, if they can. And, I think that this needs to be a Heavenly Father thing, that He needs to take the glory from this because we've shown over and over again that man, we can't get this system under control. Man can't do it. So I think that we need to call on God to help. And the specific God is the Heavenly Father. Yahweh is someone call him, more of his name, because there's lots of gods. Anyways, that we need to call on the Father to help us in this and give Him the glory in this because that's what it's going to take. We've seen how this whole system works. We've seen how hard this judge's heart can be. We need him to soften her heart and to, give her some compassion. And we just need to continue to do that over and over and over again. This is one case, and we'll have another one that comes up, and hopefully we can do something with it. I don't know.
It's so encouraging, like, just hearing you. You're so level-headed. I mean, you've been stuck in there for over 100 days at this point, right?
No, it's 91 days.
91 days.
91 days in. Well, technically, I had 4 days time served.
Right.
So it's 87 days, a little over 80, like 88 days now. But I'm on my thing. It's 91 is what I'm at. So I only have 89 days left if I don't get to anything tomorrow.
Monday.
Or Monday. 93 days will be Monday.
It blows my mind how you have been stuck in there for this long and you're still so calm about it. Like,
Well, I have to trust in the Father. I mean, I don't like it, and believe me, I'd like to freak out, but is that going to help anything? Sometimes I do freak out, but to be honest with you, I keep it to myself because that doesn't help anybody. Because, I mean, I do miss my kids. I do miss, having a life. People, oh, Robert's, can take it. Robert's strong, or whatever. The Heavenly Father's strong. I'm weak. I fall apart. He keeps me together.
So going forward, I mean, we've got court Monday. You've got another court date on the 19th, and that one's for the actual appeal, right?
Yeah, that's a stay of execution of the sentence until the appeal can be heard. And then if I lose the appeal, then
you go
I have to do the rest of the time. If I win the appeal, then it's over with. And it depends on how the appeal goes, but it at least stops the sentence from being executed until then. So there is the 19th too, but I think that this one's really important. That I think that if this one's denied, the other one's likely to be denied also. And that this one stops it, and I don't have it hanging over my head if this sentence is just commuted or whatnot. If she just realizes she could have cut mad that day because of refused probation, and that 90 days, 93 days is sufficient enough punishment for what I did.
So
and
do you think her doing that, though, would be her showing a sign of weakness as a judge, and she's just not going to do it for that reason? I mean,
no, I think that it would show that she's compassionate, and like I remember, actually I don't remember exactly who it was. It's someone who's either someone in here or my attorney. I think it was somebody in here though, and they're like basically the way they see it, and I agree with him, is that it's justice up against her pride. Is she going to be proud, have that pride and maintain the sin because she doesn't want to overrule herself? Or does she want to, think things through and have a heart, have some compassion, and, change her mind and maybe realize that she was just mad because judges don't like being told no when it comes to, what they want you to do. And that's what it comes down to, is it's her pride versus her humanity. I mean, in my opinion, um, that's what it comes down to. And, the Heavenly Father moving to talk from her heart.
I hope one of those things happens. It's so hard to watch and listen and see everything that's going on outside and how we're not getting justice on so many different levels, all the way down to this local level.
Well, we need to, just like with my CPS stuff, I think that we need to strive for one win at a time, and with my CPS stuff, if my ultimate goal, if I just get completely discouraged by my ultimate goal, which is to end the, child trafficking system as it currently exists, then I could never do this. But right. One win at a time, one kid back at a time. And, that's how that stuff adds up, and like I said, I think it is, I want to be straightforward. I think it is selfish for me to ask for this to be one of those times. But I would hope that people out there know me well enough to know that, I have tried to make that same fight for others, and I'm just asking for it in return in this one instance. I mean, but then again, I may ask for it again in the future. So, I don't know. I just, I don't really know. I just hope people would be willing to take, pretty much a non-risk.
I think asking people to show up at this low risk event for them, I mean, maybe for some it's not low risk, but
how could it not be low risk?
Well, I mean, you've been at the Capitol or at the courthouse when other things have gone down when we were expecting just a trial. So,
yeah, but we're not asking anybody to, I'm not asking anybody to try to get into the courthouse. I'm not asking for any of that. All I'm asking to show up and
well, that's what I'm saying though, is you're asking for such a simple, like, just stand up and see what happens. Just come watch this judge and see how the court system goes. See how she's going to deny my request. Or maybe she's not going to deny the request. I hope she does let you out. I think that would be a huge win. But I think the biggest thing is people should just come show up and see what happens. I can't tell you how many people I've invited to show up to something in Ada County over the last 2 years, and they went and came back with the attitude of, "Oh my gosh, it's like a different country over there. I can't believe this is happening in America." And
I mean, I've seen it with Susan's trial. I know that there at least, I think it was 2 different people, but one I can say 100% for sure, but I think it was 2. It was like, I can't even stand to be in there anymore. I want to, I'm just going to leave.
Well, but I mean, people need to see it. We can't just stand around and ignore it. And so, I mean, I really hope that anybody that's watching brings a friend. Bring somebody who's telling you that nothing's wrong with the court system today. Bring somebody with you so that they can witness it for themselves.
Or
invite
if nothing else, people that are listening, share this video or whatever it is, and tell people that it's worth the hour of listening, because I hear from people that it's not worth the hour just to listen to me ramble. Maybe, I mean, don't lie, I guess. If you don't think it's worth it, then and I just
Well, if
don't.
they don't
But
think it's worth it, then don't watch. We had over 400 people
yeah,
watch the last call that we did. So, I mean, it
yeah,
was
well,
400 last time I looked at it, and who knows how many of those were government agents watching to see if we're talking about crazy shit. I don't know. They didn't take it down, so they obviously weren't looking too hard. Um,
yeah,
but I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
people.
I have heard some different complaints about how long it is. Um,
Okay,
the
and
audio is hard
if
to
they're
hear.
gonna,
So,
well,
and it's
I've adjusted some things. I added a microphone, so hopefully people can hear better. And nobody's commenting to tell me that they can't hear. So, um,
yeah. Well,
if
I did hear. I have heard the audio's gotten better. It's still just an hour or so. And I've had this problem since I've been in activism. I can't say anything in 10 minutes. I'm sorry about it. I just can't do it in 10, 15 minutes. It just doesn't work for me. It takes me a long time to say anything. I'm
well,
like
and
the trees in The Hobbit.
if they don't like it,
Anything worth saying takes a long time to say.
I think the biggest thing though is if they don't like it and they don't like the content, where's their content? Like, if they think that they can do it better in a shorter amount of time, cool, show me.
Well, it's not that. It's just that people don't want to, dedicate a whole hour to it. And, I get that to a point. But, and I get it. Listen to everybody's hour-long video. But maybe this one, you can, maybe tell
Okay,
people it's
well,
actually worth it. Huh?
I have so many arguments to that because people today and their screen time and their TikToks and their Snapchats and all the other shit that they have on their phone. You can press play. This is on Facebook and it's on YouTube. They can press play. They can do some laundry. They can do their dishes. Um, they can
Yeah.
drive to work. There's 100 different things that you can do while you're listening to something and have it be more productive than playing Tetris or whatever the game is that people play on their phone. Like, it's a choice about
Yeah.
what you choose to spend your time on, and you need to choose to do it like, it's everybody's gotta make that choice, and if they value liberty and they value what's actually happening in the country, they're gonna stop listening to some of the mainstream media and turn off the TV and get off their ass, and then they're gonna get out and get involved. But until they actually understand what's going on, it's it's kind of a
Well,
moot point.
and it was just, to get other liberty leaders involved, you
Yeah,
know,
like where I'm
I
gonna
know
call
that,
out some people because like Sarah Brady, I hope to see you on Monday. Like, let's take some pictures and do a video.
yeah,
Tom Munns, maybe you can show up because you have some
Tom, I
people that
guess, my wife talked to him, and I guess he's still all upset about. Um, and she asked him if he would do an affidavit. He's like, "Well, I thought he had enough support through People's Rights. Why do I need to support him?"
okay, well this
And
isn't
she's like,
about dividing the different groups. Okay.
"Yeah,
Misty and Sarah, I hope to see you guys on Monday. I don't know if you'll be able to make it, but I hope to see you there. Um, Everybody in the People's Rights Network, I really hope to see you guys there because you guys love to show up for all sorts of things. Um, let's see who else. We've got Second Amendment Alliance. If you guys have not watched that segment of the prosecution talking about how Robert was carrying a loaded firearm and how it intimidated people, even though he never took it out of his holster, you guys should be there and supporting Robert because he should not be in jail for 6 months. Um, let's see. So we've got Second Amendment Alliance. Dispatch, David, maybe you could come do an update for us on the court system in Ada County. I know you're very familiar with it, but um, some nonpartisan news would be fantastic. Um, who else can I shout out to?
3%."
Oh yeah,
I
three
know that we,
percenters. If you guys want to show up, that would be fantastic. Anybody that's an elected official. So anybody in the House or the Senate,
or the Republican Party, or
or
the
the
Democrat
Republican
Party, or
Party,
the
that would
Libertarian
be
Party, or the Constitutionalist Party,
yep.
or anybody who wants liberty.
So I I'm all for finding a solution to fixing what's wrong with the court system. And I believe that Ada County is one of the most corrupt systems in the state of Idaho. So if we're going to start, we may as well start deep. Um, but I haven't heard from anybody elected officials included here, on how we go about fixing the broken system. So, I mean, we've got it's
One
just
case
a
at a time.
it, well, did you
And
just say
it'll add up. It's just like CPS stuff, you know. There's a reason that they came out with a whole group to counter me. It's because I took the one at a time approach, and it over time, it, you know, created a ripple effect, and then their budgets are being affected by it. I mean, I've had people from CPS that have actually said that I'm a problem for their budget. Which I don't talk to that many people, but I guess enough because I have a ripple effect. And
so
more people are getting involved.
you're like enemy number one for CPS? Is that fair
Pretty much.
statement?
That's at least, you know, I mean, not to pat myself on the back too much because, you know, I take pride in something like that. But yeah, from my understanding from people within the system that some of them still there, some of them quit. That, yeah, they can, well, and from Freedom of Information, we got from one of my friends who pulled the, I guess, the Freedom of Information Act, it's Public Records Act or whatnot, for public records. And they specifically say that, yeah, I'm a big thorn in their side and that I'm affecting their business.
Is that through
So,
the
you know,
Fusion
their
Center?
businesses. Huh?
Is that through the Fusion Center?
Fusion Center?
Yeah.
I don't know what the Fusion Center, this sounds familiar, but I can't think of what it is exactly.
So the Fusion Center is like the group. Here I go. We're gonna get taken down. So the Fusion Center is like the local watch list organization that like watches people that are on the watch list, right? So
Oh, okay, yeah. It's like the task force that got going
yeah, the
between
task force.
ISP
That's yeah.
and
So like the task
okay, yeah.
force that tells ISP, I think what's going on, I think is the Fusion Center.
Oh, okay, yeah. We got in this court case that came out that yeah, they have a whole team that watch us.
Oh yeah. Well,
I
that
believe it
didn't that come
comprises
out
of
on
Ada County, Boise City, and ISP. They watch everything we do. They're watching us probably right now. Oh, they're watching me because I'm in jail, listening to me, but you know what I mean.
which I find really funny that this is still up if they're actually watching because you know, but yeah.
Well,
So
not all of them are bad people, to be honest with you. Some of them are. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
you have
yeah,
to you
just
have to
this
wonder
is.
like how many of them have like been assigned to watch us and hear us ramble on about the Constitution enough times they go back and read it to prove that we're crazy and then they're like, "Oh shit, they're actually right."
Well, not all of them think that we're completely nuts. Let's put it that way. I don't want to go into details of what because I don't get people in trouble. You know, even on the task force, versus we still hear some people, and at least I've heard from different people that, you know, specifically some of the things that I've said has come through and has affected people on their different task forces. I'm not sure if it's that exact task force or, you know, different task forces they've had monitoring me and some of the people I'm involved with.
All
So,
right.
you know, I mean,
Garth just popped in. He said ISP runs the Fusion Center. It's a state intelligence agency that connects government and even many businesses at every level, including many federal agencies. So if you're watching this and you don't think the NSA is spying on you, you should probably go read the Patriot Act and then do some Googling on the Fusion Center. Because there's a whole rabbit hole
sure
for
break
you.
up a bit.
Huh?
But we were doing all right, and then you started breaking up again.
Oh, what amazing timing for that topic, and then it's starting to break up. But it's in the comments. Go check out Garth's comment and look up the Fusion Center. So I'm sure
Yeah.
I have a file a mile long because I was social media black bagged in 2020. Um, Garth said it's headquartered in Meridian. How convenient. I thought that it was headquartered up in Coeur d'Alene. So Garth, I'm gonna have to like look up that because I thought for sure that there was one up in Coeur d'Alene and there was one in Spokane.
There's lots of things in there. You know, I mean, I get it that we have to want on a bigger scale, but just on this level, you know, I don't know. It's starting to get kind of late for people. People don't like watching over hour-long videos. So I think maybe we should start to count back and they're going to go eat and stuff too. That just to the point that, you know, I'm not asking you to go out for no fusion center or to go out for the FBI. All I'm asking people to do is show up for one court date in a safe little courthouse and just make it known that they think that this is too far. We've gone too far with this punishment for the First Amendment. And let's try to maintain the First Amendment when we can. And I, personally ask, well, I guess it's not personal. It's, generally ask every liberty lover that can to show up with your titles in hand, and maybe if you're in the military, whatever uniform that you can muster to show up with to show that, you stood for First Amendment, the right that I was attempting to exercise at that time. And to pray warriors to, hopefully show up too, but also to pray for, the Heavenly Father to soften our heart, because as we've seen, we're up against, a huge monster. And hopefully this judge isn't one of those. And that even if she is, hopefully that the Heavenly Father can soften her heart, at least in this instance, and the prosecutors too, for, one of his sons.
All right. So if you guys can, please invite somebody to court on Monday. Send a letter to your elected officials asking them to come witness how the corruption is happening in Ada County courts, and ask them to come witness it so we can come find a solution to fix it. Because I don't think we're going to change this just showing up. I think it's going to take action on behalf of the elected officials, starting to hold the judges in Ada County accountable for not following their oath.
Well, call them. Everybody call them tomorrow on a Sunday.
Call
Sunday
them on
night.
their day off. Yeah.
Yeah, and let them all know that you want them to stand up for your right, your First Amendment right, because that's what's under attack here. Yes, I'm the one in jail, but your right's the one that's under attack.
And it's really important for everybody to remember that the day Robert did this, the whole reason he got arrested is because he was trying to stop a non-governing age. Well, I mean, they're kind of a governing agency, but they don't have.
Well, they're trying to legislate by committee.
Right, they were trying to legislate by committee. So these people were elected to run the Board of Health, right? And they weren't elected to make law, but they were attempting to make law that night by making it a misdemeanor to not wear a face covering. And so he wasn't just standing up for people in general. I mean, he was trying to bring awareness to this agency, trying to legislate outside of their jurisdiction. I mean, they don't have the ability to make law. We didn't give them the authority to make law. That's what our elected representatives are for. So if you're an elected representative, you should really be watching this, because Robert was really trying to stand up for your position, not just freedom of speech, not just health freedom, not just his right to carry his firearm wherever he goes. But I mean, it just kind of this case covers so many things beyond just, oh, he was standing outside banging on a bucket.
Believe it or not, I was actually trying to make little ripples that night. The big ripples were supposed to be down there at the CDH with the 400 plus people. There were 3 people.
All right, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'll try and get back to them later. I will see everybody on Monday. And I look forward to seeing everybody's signs and t-shirts, because I'm going to have a pretty awesome t-shirt on. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Robert, thank you so much for your time tonight. Go get some food.
Thank you.
How are your dizzy spells going? I didn't even ask about that.
Huh?
Are you doing better with the dizziness?
Yeah, today's been probably the best so far. I've only had like 2, and they weren't that bad.
Okay.
And I started thinking about it, and brain tumors do go to my family, so that might be something I might want to check out when I get out.
Okay, well let's not joke about that. We can get you to a good doctor, but
Oh Oh yeah,
I do
Carl
have
Center.
yes, I do have a quick question though. There was some chatter that you may not be there in person on Monday. Did your lawyer get that all straightened out?
It was the person who brought it up. I don't know what they were looking at, but it's always said in person.
Okay.
So I mean, yes, I did talk to the attorney today, but it said it on the paperwork to begin with. I don't see any reason why it can't, unless they pulled something out about it myself. So as far as the paperwork is concerned right now, there's nothing really to address because it already says in person. So it should be in person.
Okay. All right. Well, we will see you on Monday. And anything else you want to say besides share this?
No, just I do appreciate the support. I know that I'm asking for more. I just I would like it. Um, but yeah. So I do. But don't get me wrong. Just because I'm asking for more doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what you guys have already done. You know, the Gibson Go, supporting my wife best you can. You know, and trying for the cause. I mean, this is all for the cause. I'm in here for the cause, and I appreciate everybody who's stood up for the cause and has tried to support my family while I'm doing this.
Well, you're the first one to show up at everything else too, and everybody needs to remember that. Um, you would show
And
up if
do
you
what
were
I
the
can
one in
when I
jail.
can.
I have no
Yeah,
doubt in my mind that if I were the one in jail and I called you, you would be there in a heartbeat. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, quite a successful business to do to stand for liberty. So make me regret it.
all right. Well, we'll
But,
see you on Monday. Thank you again, and good luck with your fast tomorrow.
all right.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Bye.